The average North American consumes 5 times more than a Mexican, 10 times more than a Chinese person, and 30 times more than a person from India. We are the most voracious consumers in the world. A world that could die because of the way we North Americans live. Give it a rest. November 26th is Buy Nothing Day.
This world-class training to our female military leaders around the world. This amendment would simply require a gender analysis assessment of the program by signaling the importance of including more gender diversity in the program. This is not just important, it's
diversity.
This is the story of a soldier who operates your nation's Patriot missile defense systems.
What? A cartoon.
It begins in California.
Of course.
The little girl raised by 2 moms.
Oh, great.
One thing about George Floyd's death, as tragic as it has been, is open up our nation to conversation.
This guy's head of the Air Force?
We talk about it. It's the things that we're doing to work diversity and inclusion.
What?
We got to resource it. We got to put money behind it if it requires money. We got to put personnel behind it. We've got to have leadership involved.
What about fighting? What about jets?
I think that the FTC should absolutely go after these gun makers in the way that they market their weapons of war to teenagers and young adults. It's time for the FTC to go after these gun makers for the way in which they place these weapons in video games, like Call of Duty.
What?
They use social media
influencers
to get teenagers to want to be like those celebrities.
Huh?
And just getting a few things done in the office. I'm a little tired, but that's okay. This COVID thing's not going to get me. I'm like quadruple boosted or something. And I'm tough, man. I grew up in Delaware. I woke up every morning covered in oil. And me and my friends would walk to school. I looked like the creature from the Black Lagoon. That's a true story. That's a fact, Jack.
Whoa, whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Put on the brakes. Put on the brakes. Is the counter running?
Oh, definitely. It's in the blue right there under streaming code.
Put on the brakes. Not that. That's the clutch. Welcome, welcome, boys and girls, children of all ages, hoofties, pufties, bung-eyed effers, right and left wing wackoes, woodchucks, and chuckettes, kings and queens of the Northeast Kingdom.
And you know who you are?
Yeah, thanks, Philo, as they call this portion of Vermont. And, again... And you are, who are we? Where are we? Philo's pushing me here. It's good, because I need a shove. You are watching It's News to Us. We're Newport Soldiers TV News. What is new? You neighbor around chaos, local say, with little thumbs in adult language. Not really, but one does slip out every now and then. But where are the bronze age invisible sky gods are going to beat you and forgive you, and beat you and forgive you, then beat you and forgive you, like Job in the Old Testament. And here we are. There's our commander-in-chief. Get off my lawn. He came out today, gave a little COVID talk, Philo.
Oh, my gosh.
And, yeah, he spoke for about 5 minutes. Wouldn't take a single reporter question. They're all shouting at him. He turns his wrinkled old white butt and shuffled off into back into the assisted living facility. And here he is right here. He's a cadaver in cheese. And are you mad all the time? Are you? Really? Are you mad all the time? Ask your doctor about angachucks for woodchucks and chuckettes. May cause swelling of the lips. Anyways, in the booth, we couldn't do any of this stuff without the good folks here at NEK-TV in Newport, Vermont. In the booth, we have Philo T. Farnsworth. You can see him waving there. The College of Musical Knowledge. You can see his drum videos at Terry DeFazio on YouTube.
Isn't it ironical? That's a newspaper, you know. The Ironical Chronicle?
Yeah.
Isn't it ironical that I had to put my last video on Rumble?
I'm telling you, well, at least YouTube is not censoring I guess they all got scared of Musk. Oh, and speaking of which, what else is back, Philo? You know what else is back?
The COVID scare.
Yeah, that too. What else is back is the live PD shows. Only it's not called live PD anymore. It's called like On Patrol Live. Yep. And they have they're with 22 departments coast to coast. And because of cell phone service, now they can stream video and everything right from the cruisers. and they have, you know, the cameramen and soundmen right there with the cops. And what happened was, right after the Pink Floyd riots, in 2020, they said, "That's it, all police, all cops are bastards." So
what happened with the Pink Floyd concert?
Well, they had to bury old Pink Floyd, and they busted the cop that killed him, as they should have, you know.
I see what you mean, George Floyd. Okay, now I got you.
Yeah, well, as Nancy Pelosi called him, George Kirby. But now they're back on Friday and Saturday nights for like 3 hours straight, and man, it's right out of the box. It is the most popular TV show, and it's like, oh, thank God, I don't even have to look at Sean Hannity's face anymore. And
he's way too white, even for me.
Oh, geez, the dogs howl when he starts speaking. He's got, every time he says S, it sounds like he should have his teeth filed down. Or they actually have a de-esser. If you look at, it
we
up.
have one in Adobe Audition has a de-esser.
Really?
It's the if we do any compression or any audio effects or anything, in Adobe Audition, there's something called a de-esser. Yeah, it's true. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I knew it was some kind of software or something that cancels it out.
Yep.
But evidently, Hannity's show hasn't caught on. And
if you remember some of the Van Halen albums from the early '80s, there was one, Diver Down.
Yep.
Roth's voice was psting all over the place. They just didn't bother to de-ess it. That's all.
Huh.
Simple.
Yeah, Fleetwood Mac was one of the first bands to use that Oral Exciter.
I remember that. It's spelled A-U-R-A-L. I used to have one.
It's not oral like uggity.
EXR made one and Aphex made one, and I had the EXR.
Yeah, I don't know how or what they do, but it was different.
It's similar to the thing I have now called the Barkus Berry Sonic Maximizer. Very simple. Sweet. And by the way, boys and girls, I am not making this up. These are actual audio products.
Yeah. Philo wouldn't lie to you.
Mm-mm.
He's not like the others. And anyway, speaking of which, Philo had mentioned this about products not being around anymore, but that's to be taken for granted. After this shutdown, which was completely unnecessary, we know that now.
Yeah.
And especially with the book that came out by Deborah Birx, where she admitted lying to or misleading the American public, her and Fauci, which was mostly just to take down Trump. But it was completely anyways. So a lot of the stuff that we're used to getting or seeing on the shelves isn't there anymore. But anyways, this is how you kill a small business, right? I'll mention a hypothetical store, say downtown, right? And this hypothetical store is called, Derby Unnatural Foods, right? It happens to be in downtown Newport, but we call it Derby Unnatural Foods. So anyways, in this unnatural food store, they had aloe vera lotion. And now, mind you, for people like me who don't like greasy, petroleum-based, smelly crap that you rub on your skin, this stuff was made out of 90% aloe vera juice. It gets soaked up by your skin, and that's it, right? That's all there is to it. Sure. And I'm sure they must have made money because they sold out of the stuff, right, Philo?
Yep.
And this was pre-pandemic, mind you. So I went back, I went there, the pre-pandemic, and I says, hey, how about some of this aloe vera juice, Mr. Unnatural behind the register kid? And he says, yeah, we're sold out. Well, are you going to get any more? Well, I don't know. It's like, well, wait a minute. If you sold out of the product, that must mean that the product is, like, selling, right? That you're making a profit off of it, which is the job of every store. Well, no, maybe later. So post-pandemic, I go back, and I look, and they got all this other stuff, and this stuff and that stuff, and aloe vera, but it's only got 20% aloe vera. The rest is parabens and sunblocker. It's like, no. I just want straight, and a lot of other people just want straight aloe vera juice. No FD and C number 5, or, So anyways, make a long story longer.
Hey.
What happens? I give up, okay? I give up. And you know what I do? I go to Amazon, okay? I go to Amazon and I find what I'm looking for. I click on it and it's going to be delivered to my house in 3 friggin' days. And that is how you kill a small local business, because you don't care about your customers, you don't care about your other customers, and you don't care about your other customers. So you're losing customers. Fool. Wonder why there's not much traffic anymore. Oh, it must be the pandemic. Everybody's scared to come in, Philo.
Well, you know what they did last year to Dartmouth hockey? They don't get many people at the hockey games anyways.
Yeah.
But most of the people that go there are old. So they're afraid of this pandemic. So you know what they did for them? They stream it live. So almost nobody shows up for the games now. Now, if you go to a hockey game, just suppose, say you do like the game. Wouldn't it be nice to have a nice, enthusiastic environment that supports your team instead of 100 old people?
Yeah, especially if you've got kids or grandkids playing.
Yep.
They're out on the ice. You think they can't hear the cheers or jeers?
That's right. And at Dartmouth, you don't hear any of it anymore.
Crazy. It's crazy.
They put masks on everybody. It scared all the old people. So they say, oh, you can stream it now. You don't have to even come to the games. Good for the players. Really nice for the players, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of scaring geezers, we're trying to entertain geezer. This is from Sunday's paper.
Hey.
About the hearings they had. Oh, the January 6th hearings on Thursday night or whatever. And they had 17 million viewers, Philo.
Yeah, I wasn't one of them.
Well, probably because, a lot of people are cheap people and people who don't have money, they're getting over-the-air TV, and there was nothing else on. It was like on all the networks, right? But even better than that, Philo, 13 million of the 13.2 million of the 17.7 million were age 55 and older, according to Nielsen. So the only people that care are the die-hard Democrat base, all right? Because let's see, they're saying that Trump got, I don't know, what was it, 75 million votes, and Biden got 76 million or something stupid. But we didn't do a recount, and they're complaining. They're going to indict Trump for, trying to interfere with the tabulation of the vote. If they did that, they'd have to bust all these other people, because every other election was contested going back to George Bush in 2000, remember?
Oh, yes, and they stopped that one because of politics.
Yeah, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. But then, when it came time to certify it, every friggin' Democrat in the House got up to put the bite on that and stop the certification. Did they get arrested? No. They did it again in 2004 when Kerry ran. I'm John Kerry, and I'm reporting for Boy Scout duty. And so they remember they contested that, and they said, oh, those machines in Ohio are screwed up,
Well, first it was Florida, and now it's Ohio, and who knows, it might be Vermont next year.
And it was 2004. We only got 600,000 people, Lord knows how many vote. Anyways.
Yeah, but somebody will contest it, and it will get all messed up because...
We got a total of 3 electors.
And Mo, Larry, and Curly, probably.
Yeah, Shumlin, Cunin, and some other Hebrew.
Oh, my goodness.
So anyways, I can say that because I'm Hebrew, half Hebrew. I'm a Mishling. So anyways, and what did they do? So when Obama got elected, a few Republicans contested that, but he won. But he beat that 180 pounds of Miracle Whip in a cheap suit Mitt Romney, a.k.a. Willard Romney. Obama beat him hands down. Come on. So they didn't bother contesting it. Same thing with McCain the first time. I mean, McCain for brains?
Whomever thought in the Republican Party, whomever thought that putting Sarah Palin on the ticket with him either needs to be fired or shot.
Well, we thought Sarah Palin was a friggin' balloon head until Kamala Harris came along.
Well, the two of them should start their own program.
Which is really funny, Philo, because lately there's been new light put on these SSRIs and stuff. And when in 2005, Tom Cruise was on the Today Show, and he says, The depression is not a chemical imbalance. Depression is other factors in your life, you know? And, they jumped all over Tom Cruise. He's a Scientologist, he's an occult, blah, 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 blah. Well, now they're taking a new look at it. And I swear to God, you can see the change. If you look at the interviews when Harris was Attorney General in California, you look at some of the interviews from back then that she did, and some of the interviews when she first came to the Senate, she was right there. You know what I mean? She was a prosecutor. Something happened. I'm wondering if they put her on drugs or if she started taking something or God knows what. But since she started campaigning in Iowa, she's like gone, man. She makes Sarah Palin look like Albert Einstein. And speaking of Iowa, what happened to Iowa? Remember during the primaries? Every 4 years, people would go to Iowa, they'd have their caucuses, and we'd know within 12 hours who was the winner of the Iowa caucuses, right?
Yeah,
except for this time.
Is that the same as Michael Dukakis's?
Yeah. Yeah, he whipped out his Michael Dukakis and wetted the floor.
Yeah, that was probably one of the worst campaigns I ever saw.
Oh, dude.
He was horrible.
Oh, well, Dukakis was horrible. Come on.
Yeah, he was.
You can't put lipstick on that pig. So, but anyways, this time, what happens in Iowa, Philo? Oh, they had some phone app, which was run by Pete Buttigieg's sister-in-law. And that phone app was going to tabulate all the caucuses from every precinct, and that was going to send it in. And what happened? Oh, they said, well, we're having some trouble with it, you know. And it was like a day later, nothing happens. 2 days later, nothing happens. Even though we know that Bernie won hands down, like he did 4 years earlier. So what happens? In the vacuum, Bernie doesn't come out and say, I'll take it, I won it. No. Who comes out and says they won the Iowa caucuses? Mayor Pete. Yep. That howdy-looking mofo. So the whole thing. Anyway, so and then when Trump won in 2016, didn't they contest the certification of that election? You should see the videos. You can go on YouTube and find them. Maxine Waters up there saying, no. Nancy Pelosi, no, it's not. We're not going to serve. No. They raised every objection possible. But what happens is, when they do, it's Electoral Count Act. Oh, that was one of the clips I wanted to put in. Damn it. Is the Electoral Count Act of 1887 or something. Congress can dispute it all they want, but what they need is one senator to go along with them, right? And that will make them do a recount or check the electors or some damn thing. So what happened was they got a senator or two or three to go along this time. They couldn't get one in 2016. They couldn't get one, before that. But this time they got one, and they were ready to proceed with another electoral count. And if the electors were sent there wrong or whatever, it could be contested legally. That's the way the law is. So now they're going after Trump. Oh yeah, now they're talking about indicting him. Oh boy, it's almost like they want to start. They want to start trouble in the street, Philo.
Well, it was like what happened to Rush Limbaugh's when George W. won the election twice.
Yeah,
he was almost beside himself because he had no one to rail against.
Yeah, well, what they're going to do, I'm telling you, if they indict Trump, there could be trouble. And that's exactly what they want, because if there's trouble in the streets, that will prove their point. See these people, they're all wackos. Well, if they're gonna indict Trump, why not a former president? See, that's the thing. It's always been hands off. They never indicted Dick Cheney for all the crap that he did.
Nope.
And they didn't indict Biden after all the crap that he did. And now we got FBI whistleblowers coming out to Chuck Grassley, Senator Grassley, and saying, hey, look, they've been slow rolling this investigation. They're hiding stuff. The FBI is slow rolling it, the DOJ. So it's just insane. You can't do that. I mean, if they indict a former president, it's crazy. And then they'll have to prove it. Okay, they'll need 12 jurors, unanimous approval. And it's like, I watched that speech that he gave and all the stuff that he tweeted out, and it's like none of it was a call to arms, and none of the people were armed. They kept saying, no, these insurrectionists were armed. There was no arms found.
They had arms.
Yeah, exactly. What they were using, they had stupid flagpoles, some of these wackos, and they, attacked the cops with it. But that's the thing. If you break stuff and hurt people, you deserve to be prosecuted. That's the law. Unless you're Antifa or Black Lives Matter, then you can riot in over 550 cities, burn liquor stores, plunder, loot, no problem.
That would be a dumb thing to do. Firebomb a liquor store.
Well, they did. Remember? That was the one where Ali Vesci from CNN was. He was in Milwaukee or something. It was in Wisconsin. And he's standing in front of this Minnehaha liquor store or something. And they're going out with shopping carts. They've already taken all the good scotch and everything else, And these people are taking shopping carts, and they're just friggin' loading them up and going, and then some jerk starts the place on fire, and he comes out and he says, well, as you can see, the crowd's mostly peaceful. His liquor store's burning behind him.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's mostly peaceful. Estimated 17 points there. Watch the House Thursday night's hearing investigating the attack on the Capitol. It was second to the 20 Minute, who saw the first one on June 9th. 10 networks aired it live, down from 11 on June 9th. Yeah. An estimated 13.6 million, or 77%, were aged 55 and older. Only 705,000 were 18 to 34. 700,000 18 to 34. Yeah, you wonder why? Because it was boring as whale crap. MSDNC said the 4.7 million people who watched it represented its biggest primetime audience since the night of the event the committee is investigating. Public hearings are expected to resume in September. Oh, here we are. Oh, Liz Cheney. Isn't she something? She did not countenance the Trump defender who articulated was manipulated by outside crazies. Well, why don't we have? How come the FBI has never answered whether they had any people in the crowd? Huh? Why? If they didn't, they should say no. It's just that simple. But they won't say no. President Trump is a 76-year-old man. He's not an impressionable child. Just like everyone else in our country, he's responsible for his actions and his choices, which were. Oh, her icy disdain. Yeah, right. Unbelievable. Hell, here we are. Yeah. Trump leaned on Republican-led states. He went out, he told his supporters to fight like hell. Yeah, it's like any other speech. Let's see, to derail the certification, Pence said no. Well, Pence could have gone along. It would have taken another 30 days, but we would have got to the bottom of it. It's just that simple. If you're so proud and the election was so clean, why not wait 30 days and prove it? We had to get the geezer in there. And look what's happened. Look what's happened. Is everybody proud? Are you better off now than you were 10 years ago?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I have to work and draw Social Security.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I hate to go back to my dogs, but the dogs know. Dogs don't understand you, okay? They don't care what you say, They watch what you do, right? And it's the same thing with politicians. Watch what they do, not what they say. I don't care if Trump was a blowhard. We had the lowest unemployment in history, lowest minority unemployment in history. Food stamp usage went down to nothing. The Dow Jones was the highest it's ever been. Business was ripping. We were a major exporter of gas and oil. I mean, and all of that has turned around now, and we've got inflation, and now the Fed, but right before I came in here, the Fed is raising interest points by, 0.75 or whatever, which means, you know what that's the domino effect, right, Terry? You know what's going to happen? That means that if you go to get a mortgage now, your mortgage payment's going to be $100, $200, maybe $300 a month more, okay? So what does that do? That means it cuts down on the cost of borrowing. So what do people do? People who have houses, they're gonna either put off or delay or not do that home improvement. And what happens when there's no improvement? The hardware stores suffer. The paint companies, the lumber companies, the screws, the nails, everything. Everything starts falling like dominoes. And then we slide right into a recession because this idiot got in there and he's too stubborn to change course now.
Well, what I didn't like about him was he as soon as he got in there, he wanted to mandate everything. Vaccines, masks,
Our patience is wearing thin. Remember he said that, Philo?
Mandate. That's all I heard of this guy.
Our patience is wearing thin, you know?
Well, he's right. It is.
Yeah. They had the crappy vaccine, okay? It's like...
and get this. I heard this morning about Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
He refused to get the vaccine.
A lot of people have.
And then guess what happened? They finally talked him into getting it. So he got the vaccine. He had a very bad reaction. Then he caught the virus anyway.
Kind of like Sheriff Tom.
Could be.
Sheriff Tom, I saw him 2 weeks before he died. I said, what's the matter? He says, oh, man, I haven't felt right since I got the vaccine. And I said, well, I got chest pains. I said, well, get to the hospital and get a workup, cardiac workup right away. No, I'm going to stay away from them. 2 weeks later, he was dead. And what did he die from? Complications from COVID. Here it is right here. Biden believes the nation will avoid a recession. Well, see, what did they do? As soon as they got in, Philo, remember they changed the PCR testing, right?
Yep.
So immediately the COVID cases were cut by 2/3 because they changed the definition of what is a positive COVID test, right?
Yeah, they lowered the sample rate too, didn't they?
Yeah. And then with the vaccines didn't work, and they knew it. Deborah Birx even says that in her book, the scarf lady that came out with Fauci every day. So what did they do with the vaccines? They didn't work. They changed the definition of vaccine on the CDC website. So in inflation, what did they do with inflation? Nah, it's not inflation. It's the tragedy of the Peloton, you know. Ha, 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 ha. And then Janet Yellen comes out, eat your soup. It's transitory. This old Hebrew grandmother. And it's transitory. At first it's not there. Then it was transitory. Then it's going to go away. And now it's here whacking us on the head at 10% or more. If they say it's 10, you know it's 20. And they denied it. And now, with the recession, they're doing the same thing with the recession. They're changing the friggin' the definition of recession. Forever and ever, the definition of recession has been 2 quarters of no growth in the GDP, the gross domestic product. Okay? But now they're trying to change it.
If they want to see a recession, all they got to do is go back to Bush 1 and even Bush 2. Then you've got a recession.
Yeah.
This is nothing by comparison.
The worst one I remember was in '82.
Oh, with Reagan. Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah, after Reagan got elected.
Under Reagan, I lost my job twice at the shop.
I was cleaning brush out of my buddy's yard in California with the Mexicans. Luckily, I got to sleep in his house. The Mexicans had to sleep in a shed out back. It was crazy. Yeah, and listen to this. This is the reporters. They're Democrat stenographers. All right. Biden's team gave technical arguments in a report issued last week about how recessions depend on a dashboard of indicators that only the Non-Governmental National Bureau of Economic Research can formally say when a downturn begins. It's like, it's a tongue bath. It's like watching a cat lick another cat. It's crazy, man.
Look out for hairballs.
Yeah. The Biden administration is preemptively telling voters not to judge the economy by the GDP or inflation alone. They should look at the job gains, industrial output, and other measures that point toward continued growth, even as Americans are downbeat in polls on the economy and Biden. The president maintains the economy is just cooling off after a sharp recovery from the recession caused by the pandemic. Who kept the pandemic going? Who mandated the shots so that people left their jobs?
Yep.
A third of the friggin' pilots, flight attendants, and baggage handlers Gone. Now we've got lines at the airport like you read about. Oh, here's another thing, too. Here's Popey Dopey. Popey Dopey went up to Canada to apologize for all those Indian kids being beaten and killed at the government schools, Philo.
Yeah, and most of those government schools were church-run.
Yeah, it's crazy. They didn't even keep track of them. So here's Popey and Dopey in a headdress like mine. And some of the Indians were... reaction to his visit and words was mixed. Some survivors stayed away and criticized the decision of indignant leaders to give him a feathered headdress, a sign of respect. Others welcomed his apology as genuine and praised the attention drawn to the horrors of the school system. Here where it comes down to money. Don't it always come down to money, Philo?
It always does.
Indignant community leaders urged him to make good on his pledge to continue the reconciliation with concrete action. Turning over church records, okay, they should, about the fate of the indignant children who died at the schools, funding the therapeutic healing programs for survivors. Yeah, it's all about the funding.
It always is.
And facilitating investigations of those responsible for the abuses. Well, how old do you think the people responsible were for the last kids were done? It was done in the 70s, Philo.
They're all dead now.
You think? They're not going to get anybody responsible. We're going to dig them up like Pope, that third Pope, excuse me, where they dug them up and drove and quartered them after putting them on trial.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Oh, it's called the Cadaver Synod. Look it up sometime. It's hysterical. They dug up this Pope and then put him on trial, put a dead man on trial, and then put him on drawn and quartered him. And here we are. 63-month prison term, the longest for the riot. Yet the Pink Floyd rioters, we told you, over 500 riots got off scot-free. They attacked cops, burned city blocks, looted, injured cops from coast to coast, and yet they were sprung by Kamala's bail fund. And she came on TV. Thanks, Philo. Remember, she came on TV. She was on Stephen Colbert's show, I think. And she was saying, they're not going to stop. They shouldn't stop. And they're not going to. It's going to keep on going. So was Caramella Harris, was she instigating rioting? She was just a candidate back then, but what the hell? Oh, and look at this. This is from the Epoch Times, right, Philo? Yep. As border crossing surge, the Biden administration is hiding data on illegal alien deaths. The Border Patrol has issued a report on deaths at the border. The bodies they find in the desert and under bushes and every other thing on ranches and stuff.
Yep.
Well, guess what? Ever since Biden got in, they're not releasing the report. Not at all. Sorry, no problem. You can pound sand. Yeah, Joe Biden, our patience is wearing thin, he said about his vaccine mandate. Oh yeah, Birx. Her new book shows that she hid and obfuscated data from Trump, from the president. She started that 15 days to stop the spread, which was modeled after what they were doing in Italy, South Korea, and China. 15 days to lockdown. She killed the economy, and she convinced Trump to shut down the economy, Philo. Unbelievable. Oh yeah. These consent decrees from the last election, 6% were rejected for no signature match. 70% of the votes, of course, were for Biden in Georgia and other states. There was no canvassing and addresses to verify ballots. Now, the press has done that at every election with mail-in ballots. The press has done that since JFK got elected in 1960. Did the press have any curiosity this time around about signatures, Philo?
Nope, because CNN told them what to do. Right? My wife and I watched the election, and one thing I noticed was that all of the major networks, except for Fox, they were cheerleading for Biden.
Oh yeah,
absolutely cheerleading for Biden.
And even Fox went south when they called Arizona.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I was flipping through them too. And did you know, get this, did you know that Biden stayed back in third grade?
Nope.
How stupid do you have to be to stay back in third grade, Philo?
Well, all I can tell you is this. I was talking to some football coaches at youth football.
Yeah.
And in many states where football is a big deal, they hold the good players back in third grade 1 year.
Who's playing football in third grade?
They have Pop Warner and Pee Wee back then. Yeah.
Well, not when Biden was a kid.
Well, no, but it's really funny. They can hold people back for weird reasons, and maybe he was just that dumb.
Oh yeah. And I was in third grade in 1960 something, and you had to be pretty damn stupid. I mean, first grade, letters, alphabets, they start you to read. Second grade, you're reading pretty good. Third grade, they got you reading and doing pretty good math. I mean, by third grade, repeating third grade, man, what a dumbass.
I know a few people that had to repeat second grade and first grade, but I never saw third grade.
I knew like one person. One person, man. Well, two. One was stupid, and the other one was, what do you call it, had issues.
Missing a little off the fastball?
Yeah. He had issues with authority figures. And anyways, and an MSNBC interview, Brian Deese, he was coming on, he said the gas is under $4 a gallon now. And he's the Economic Council Director, the guy who mentioned, we're all going to get used to being part of the liberal world order, that guy. And these people are not trained economists. They've never ran a business. They've never ran a friggin' lemonade stand. And now he's a white economic advisor? You got to be kidding me. He said there's no both-way thinking. When it comes to the gas money. And this other guy, Jared Bernstein, he got no economic training. He has a degree in music, Philo.
Wow.
Okay, then.
Imagine that.
Oh, yeah. And, did you hear? Tucker Carlson had this thing last night where he was showing these people, the mayors of these sanctuary cities, and they were saying, yeah, bring them in. We're going to give them lawyers, school, translators, everything they want. We're going to get them on medical insurance, and we're going to protect them from the government and stuff. Well, now they're starting to get busloads after busloads after busloads in New York and Washington, D.C., and they're all like, whoa, we're going to have to ask the federal government for money. You're going to stop this stuff. Our shelters are full. We need clothes. We need, we need money. Meh. So I'm thinking, how long is it going to be before we see this in Vermont, right? Yes. Phil Scott always tells us, even though we have a housing shortage, we have a homeless problem, how long is it going to be before Phil Scott says, we need more refugees, right? And so I was thinking, what's going to happen? Mayor Memme will take in, say, 5,000, maybe 10,000 people from south of the border, and we'll have lowriders, man. We'll have Vato night in Newport. Every Friday night on Main Street will be Vato night. And they'll hand out free hairnets and stuff. And they'll have lowriders jumping the cars up and down. Man, we'll have lowrider contests down on Main Street. It's going to be a gas, man. I had a buddy, right? God bless you if you're still alive. His name was Armando Madrid. He was he had a Mexican name, but he was a full-blooded Yaqui Indian, man. He couldn't even grow a mustache, right? Great guy. I worked with him, and we became good buddies. And I said, well, what do you guys do on the weekends? He says, oh, man, he says, you ought to come down sometime to Southeast San Diego, man. I'll show you around. So I said, all right, great. It was that time of year. I got a good tan going. Philo and I we got some European blood, so we tan easily. And we could pass as being a minority sometimes, or Hispanic at least, right? So I got good and tanned up. But being 6'1", man, I went down to Southeast San Diego on Friday night with Armando to watch the lowrider parade and stuff. And the first thing out of his buddies was, "Hey, Armando, who's the gringo?" And it was classic, man. But I was a friend of his, man. I was a friend of everybody's, man. Come on in, have a beer, watch the lowriders, man. And I'd check out the engines and we'd talk. We were all motorheads, It was great. It was great. And oh man, yeah. You talk about they're jailing people like Steve Bannon for contempt of Congress. We mentioned that last week. Peter Strzok, get him to lie about Michael Flynn, he said. And Eric Holder, Lois Lerner, they got contempt of Congress. They weren't busted for it. We got a 69-year-old grandmother with cancer who was at the Capitol. She just walked in, didn't hurt anybody, didn't touch anything, just walked in, turned around, walked out. And they've given her 2 months in jail, Philo. She's undergoing chemotherapy, and they threw her in the joint for 2 months.
Wow, nice of them.
Yeah, 69-year-old grandmother with cancer. That's cool, right? Unbelievable. Let's see. We mentioned the anonymous witnesses and stuff. Oh, and now with the border being open, what they're doing, this is all intentional. Do you remember during the Pink Floyd riots, they had these wacko kids. They had signs that said "Abolish ICE,"
yeah.
And they were chanting, "No borders, no walls, no USA at all. No borders, no walls, no USA at all." Well, that's what's happened, man. Joe is doing exactly what they want. And last week I gave the stats on the California schools. You were right, Philo. I was wrong about California being dead last in school scores. They routinely test them on the bottom 10 states, though.
Yep.
They're not dead last. And
usually it's Mississippi. It's the last, and Arkansas and like that.
Yeah, I should look it up before I open my big yap.
It used to be, as far as the poorest states, it was Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas were the poorest.
Yeah. Well, anyways, they're among the bottom 10 states. A third of the U.S. welfare recipients live in California, Philo.
I'm not surprised.
1/5 of Californians live below the poverty line. 1/4 are foreign-born. And half of the homeless people in all of the USA are in California cities. Half of them.
They haven't been to Burlington lately, have they?
They got tents on the sidewalks now?
Only on Church Street.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Deborah Birx, this is what she said, Philo, in her book. I knew the vaccines would not protect against infection. Then why is she pushing them? And 80% of the vaccinated elders got sick or sicker, and it depresses their immune system. Oh, okay, Dr. Deb. Okay, then. No problem, right?
Huh.
Unbelievable. It's crazy. It's
Works
crazy.
For me.
Oh, and it's primary time in Vermont, and I told Philo I was arguing with this Becca Balin. If you leave this on for a second, I'll show you some of this crap I'm getting in the mail. Thanks, Philo. Here's one for Becca Balin. Let's see. Here's another one. Leave it on. Here's another one for Becca Balin. She's a lesbian too, Philo. Did you know that?
Well, she's not interested in me then.
She's got a wife. And here's another one for Becca Balin. And if you look at the picture of her arm, they didn't even touch up the photo. She's got some nasty skin condition on her left arm, Philo.
Well, I don't care if she's gay or not. If she can't do the job, I don't want her.
Right arm, yeah. Her right arm's kind of screwed up. And here's another one. Growing up in rural Vermont, I watched neighbors come together in tough times, bridging the divide to solve big problems. Really? What big problems did they solve, Molly Gray? Huh? I wonder which ones. And here's another one. Growing up on the farm, I learned it doesn't matter who gets credit, just that the job gets done. What job would that be? You know, they speak in these vague tones, Tom Philo.
Of course they do, because they don't really want to tell you anything.
And here's another one. We need Vermont's values in Washington now more than ever.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one. I got an email about that one.
It's like, what the hell?
Is there anybody worth voting for? Seriously.
I'm going to vote Republican. I'm going to vote for the party. I'm a registered independent, but I'm going to vote for the party that's going to grant me the most freedom. And the party that's going to grant me the most freedom is the ours. I'm sorry. I hate to do it. I never thought I would see the day that this happened, but here it is. And one of these jokers called me up 2 weeks ago, and he said, it's about time Vermont sends a woman down to Washington.
Why?
And that's what I said. I'm there, why? Do their ovaries give them special powers or something? You know? What the hell?
It's what you call now, and what's happened too much is called identity politics.
You betcha.
You're elected on your identity and not by what you can actually do or your experience.
Yeah. No arrest made in connection with 50 pro-abortion attacks. They're attacking these women's health centers. They hand out formula, diapers, all kinds of stuff to single mothers and young mothers, and they're getting firebombed by an outfit called Jane's Revenge. It's like, what the hell?
It's because they're assuming that they're abortion centers when they aren't.
No, it's the opposite. They know they don't provide abortions. They know that they just help women to carry the baby to term. But they don't like that they call them women's health centers or reproductive health centers because they're anti-abortion. So these people are pro-abortion, so they're firebombing.
Oh, now I got you.
Yeah, they're firebombing these clinics.
Are these people crazy?
It's crazy. And this whole abortion thing started in the 70s, okay? The first people to come out and were dead set against it were a few nuns across the country. Remember? In the 70s and 80s, they said this is wrong. And they did some antics and then it grew, okay? The movement grew. And then as the movement grew in the 80s and 90s, they started getting undercover pictures and undercover video. And that like got more people. So as it grew, more and more people saw that some of this stuff was really grisly anyways. So we got to today, and they found they've just come out and said it. Look, it's not in the Constitution. It's up to the states. Oh, here we are. 62,000 plus, 40,000 National Guard, and 22,000 Reserve soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines will be blocked from service for rejecting the mandatory vaccines. Okay, great, no problem. Well, the White House acknowledges that inflation is unacceptably high. Oh, look at this one. Lawsuit claims that Skittles are unsafe for human consumption. And it's true. They're banned in some they're banned in Europe, Philo.
I know. I read about that.
Yeah, because they contain a known toxin they pledged 6 years ago to phase out, but they didn't. Heightened levels of titanium dioxide. That's the stuff in paint, right?
Yep.
Used as a food additive. It's set to be banned in the European Union. I was wrong. After a food safety regulator had deemed it unsafe due to its genotoxicity or the ability to change DNA.
Oh, how nice.
And Dog Boy used to love those things, Philo. He was always eating them. Maybe that's what happened to him.
So did Marshawn Lynch.
Really?
He was a football player. He used to endorse them, and it showed him eating them all the time. He loves Skittles.
Good grief, man. That's just crazy. That's crazy. Here we are. Financial giants reject West Virginia's claims that they're boycotting fossil fuels. Well, except they are. You know, all these funds are coming out and saying we're not going to invest in it. You got to have a good ESG score, or we're not going to give you any money. Okay. Oh, the Department of Fatherland Security, or Homeland Security as they call it, spent millions of tax dollars on cell phone location data, Philo. I wonder who are they going after? Are they going after the Antifa people, or are they going after the mothers who complained at school board meetings?
Probably the mothers.
Yeah, I'd say the latter, not the former.
Yep.
Oh, the Chinese want to build a big corn processing center right next to our one of our biggest Air Force bases in North Dakota, Philo.
A porn center?
Yeah.
Oh, porn. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're going to process porn. It's called Fufeng USA, a biofermentation company. Plans to use the corn mill facility to extract ingredients that go into animal nutrition feed products sold in a North American market. Okay, 75 miles south of Canada in the Red River Valley. In that Red River Valley, Marco Rubio and Senator or John Honovan sent a letter to the Treasury Secretary and the Defense Secretary about the review. Said, what the hell are you guys doing, you know? There's not a company out of communist China that doesn't have ties to the government, fools. And they show how the ties, these people are tied to the commies. And it's right near a U.S. military base. Oh, sure. No problem, man. We're not going to spy on you guys. No. Oh, the U.S. Advisory Panel said there's no need for the Disinformation Governance Board. You know, with Scary Poppins? That girl that came out with those creepy videos singing Mary Poppins song, and they were going to put her in charge of disinformation. Yeah. The critics said the efforts appeared designed to suppress free speech. They said the formation of the board was likely illegal. DHS said it was never about censorship or policing speech in any manner. Oh, these are false attacks. Instead, the board was aimed at ensuring the agency's work on disinformation, protect free speech, protect civil rights, civil liberties, and privacy, they said at the time. It named that combating false and misleading information from human traffickers. What, are you kidding me? Joe Biden is working with human traffickers and the cartels. Every one of those people across the border. What was it? Ted Cruz. He was down at the border yesterday, day before, and he was showing the pictures of these rape trees, Philo, where the cartel members, once they get the women over the border, they rape them. You know how they throw sneakers up over the phone lines to territory, to show their territory? Well, they do the same thing under these trees where they rape the women, and then they throw the panties up in the trees, so they have rape trees. It's insane, man. Human trafficking. We're working with the human traffickers. Oh, here we are. April 27th, that same day, Nina Jankowicz, the disinformation fellow at the Woodrow Wilson Center for International Schooling, was tapped to lead the board and had been working on it for 2 months. And then they got busted, so they came out and said, Mayorkas said, we haven't begun its work. But luckily a whistleblower came out and said, hey, what the hell are you doing? Yeah, here we are. So far this year, 3 months remaining, the Tucson sector of the border alone has recovered over 128 bodies, Philo.
Imagine that.
In one sector. Since January 1990, 3,600 undocumented have died within the Pima County jurisdiction. Many remains are never found and never reported. It's crazy. No, we just, that's the power of a bureaucrat is the only power is to say no. Oh, nope, very good. Nope. Huh? Oh, here we are. Go for it. Here's a good one. We haven't heard about this one.
Doing good.
I guess it was an open and shut case, Philo. Sorry.
What's that?
The FBI opened an inquiry into the Woohoo lab, into the funding, NIH funding of the Woohoo lab. But when it started getting close to Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx, hey boss, when it started getting close and they got the heat, Fauci started feeling the flames. I guess they backed off, Philo.
Wow.
Yeah. This was in May 22nd, 2020. Okay. This was only March, April, May. This is only 2 months after the beginning of the shutdown, Philo.
Last but not least, Steve.
They started looking into it. Oh my God! Look at all the local news I didn't get to. Where's the one about
just
Bernie?
Time for here. One more quick one.
Okay, quick one here. Yay, Bernie! The semiconductor bill unites Sanders with the Republicans. Because Bernie is one of the only people that says, you know, look, this is corporate welfare. And they said, not too many people, you know, Bernie, go back there and get the job done. You give the enormously profitable corporations, which pay outrageous packages their CEOs, give them billions in corporate welfare. Not many of my constituents hear me tell me that. Well, here's the thing. I would be more than willing to have the government loan these companies money to build plants at no interest rates to build plants and start making stuff in the USA again. But to give them money, that's a whole different story. Once again, you wasted a perfectly good hour of your life watching this stupid show. So hopefully we'll see you again next week, inshallah, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. So until then, get down on your hands and knees in the men-only mosque, sniff the bum of the guy in the man dress in front of you, head east towards the meteorite in Mecca and go, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Akbar.
And a happy Deus Magnus Est to everyone.
Damn, that went by quick.
This world-class training to our female military leaders around the world. This amendment would simply require a gender analysis assessment of the program by signaling the importance of including more gender diversity in the program. This is not just important, it's
diversity.
smart.
Diversity.
This is the story of a soldier who operates your nation's Patriot missile defense systems.
What? A cartoon.
It begins in California.
Of
the
course.
Little girl raised by two moms.
Oh, great.
And one thing about George Floyd's death, as tragic as it has been, is open up our nation to conversation.
This guy's head of the Air Force?
We talk about it. It's the things that we're doing to work diversity and inclusion.
What?
We got to resource it. We got to put money behind it if it requires money. We got to put personnel behind it. We got to have leadership involved.
What about fighting? What about jets?
I think that the FTC should absolutely go after these gun makers in the way that they market their weapons of war to teenagers and young adults. It's time for the FTC to go after these gun makers for the way in which they place these weapons in video games, like Call of Duty.
What?
They use social media influencers to get teenagers to want to be like those celebrities.
Huh?
There's a variety of causes ranging from to simply not being able to afford care for the men. An increase in surrenders is also straining resources for shelters who also struggle with inflated prices and staffing shortages. Staffing means limited families able to need the care. So we're being very careful.
And just getting a few things done in the office. I'm a little tired, but that's okay. This COVID thing's not going to get me. I'm like quadruple boosted or something. And I'm tough, man. I grew up in Delaware. I woke up every morning covered in oil. And me and my friends would walk to school. I looked like the creature from the Black Lagoon. That's a true story. That's a fact, Jack.
The average North American consumes 5 times more than a Mexican, 10 times more than a Chinese person, and 30 times more than a person from India. We are the most voracious consumers in the world, a world that could die because of the way we North Americans live. Give it a rest. November 26th is Buy Nothing Day.